You know, they say the sword is deadliest in calm hands.
Ethyn Ewing left a long-lasting impression on me this last weekend. And no, not the scarring PTSD kind like Islam left on me. No, this young man left me feeling excited, inspired, and honestly, just downright impressed. So with this new inspiration, I thought I would tell you a story. A story of Ethyn Ewing, the calm hand contender. Ethyn Ewing is a 27-year-old MMA fighter from Anaheim Hills, California. He recently debuted on UFC 322, also known as the death day of my favourite fighter. Ethyn had a standout performance at 322, and he left fans worldwide rooting for him. Whoa, hold up. This isn't a manga. We're not reading back to front. Start from the beginning, not the end. Yeah, fair enough. The year was 1998, and the world was lively. Truman Show the movie was busy predicting the rise of reality television and social media. And meanwhile, the Spice Girls had people blasting Stop Right Now everywhere on their Walkmans. Other than the Spice Girls though, something even greater was taking place in 1998. And that was the conception of Ethyn Ewing. Ethyn grew up in Anaheim Hills, a neighborhood inside of big old America. Now in terms of where and when Ethyn started training MMA, the information is a little bit unclear, and I attempted to ask him some of these details, but Slim, you forgot to call me. So we have to improvise. Now what I do know about Ethyn from my top tier lurking abilities is that he started wrestling in high school. And just like a crazed ex-girlfriend, I found photos dating back to his senior year at King's University. And let me tell you this, upon finding these bad boys, I instinctively hit a sprawl. I mean, I was fearing for my life. Look at this damn specimen. God damn. Anyway, the year is 2016, and wrestling would become a base for Ethyn's martial arts. Ethyn continued training out of the CSW Training Center, honing in on his skills, and eventually would make a transition to MMA. Ethyn, after training MMA for the next 2 years, decided it was time to truly challenge himself. This is where Ethyn's amateur career would begin. Ethyn had an amazing start to his amateur career. His record consisted of 6 wins and only 1 loss. And not only that, 4 of those wins out of the 6 were by finish. Ethyn's dominant amateur career lasted 2 whole years, and he was on a great run. He had momentum on his side, and he decided, you know what, I think it's time I turn pro. But unfortunately, just like my GOAT JDM, Ethyn was about to have an eerily similar start to his career. On October 30th, 2020, Ethyn would take on Edwin Cooper Jr. This was Ethyn's pro debut, and it was on LFA 94 Demopoulos vs Godinez. Although Cooper and Ewing did go the distance, unfortunately for Ewing, it was a one-sided beatdown. Now yes, this was Ewing's professional debut, so he should cut himself a little bit of slack, but still, this wasn't the performance he wanted, and this wasn't the way he wanted to conduct himself in the octagon. Ethyn knew deep down that he was so much better than this, and he was gonna prove it. So with that in mind, he went back to the drawing board. Ethyn would take a 2-year hiatus to try perfect his skills and train more. He felt he'd rushed his professional debut and wanted to make sure that by the time he returned to the cage, he'd be sharp and ready to take on anybody. On March 4th, 2022, Ethyn would make his second walk to the octagon as a pro. And this is where he'd face off against a strong opponent in Roberto Hernandez. Finally, the day had come. Ethyn was ready to show the work he'd put in over the last few years. He'd taken plenty of time off, and he put in thousands of hours of work just to get to this point. But again, unfortunately for Ewing, this game would continue to test his resolve. A minute 40 into the first round, and Hernandez would latch up a nasty heel hook submission. And this is where Ethyn had 2 choices. Take the learning lesson and come back stronger, or suffer a potentially career-ending injury. Ethyn was at a low point here. Yes, he was young and still had plenty of time to develop as a mixed martial artist, but he felt like time was constantly slipping away from him. Now, Ethyn might not have known it at this point, but just around the corner, his dream and his path to success in MMA was slowly coming to fruition. On the 28th of January 2023, Ethyn would finally get a win that he dreamed of. Ethyn would have his first fight of the year where he would get a 15-second knockout. And it was here that Ewing would finally ride this wave of momentum. And it was here that he would truly show everyone all the skills he'd built so far. 8 straight wins in a row, 7 of which were all finishes. Ethyn was evolving into an absolute warrior, and with each and every win, he only grew more and more in confidence. Slowly but surely, his dream to become a professional MMA fighter was being realized. And one night, as he sat still with his thoughts, somewhere deep in his distant mind, he felt an opportunity surging. A dream that was begging to be realized. Cody Haddon is out of UFC 322 with an injured foot. Rising contender Malcolm Wellmaker is out of an opponent. With only 2 days to UFC 322, can anybody step up to save this event?
The sword is deadliest in calm hands.
Ethyn come out and not once showed a sign of weakness. And honestly, watching this live, Ethyn instantly had me hooked and screaming for him. It was a true underdog story, and it's rare that you will instantly start cheering for someone you don't know. But there was something about Ethyn in the octagon that night. Watching him pour his heart into his performance, constantly coming forward in the face of adversity. And not only that, just bringing beautiful violence to his opponent. And round after round, Ethyn would continue to show that heart and continue to show his passion for his dream. And after that, suddenly the fight was over. Ethyn had won his UFC debut. Now, not only did he fight well, he also spoke well. Ethyn followed this up with a beautifully articulated speech, with just the right amount of passion, and even a lovely shout out for his wife and his soon-to-be-born child. Alright, sign me up. I'm drinking the Ethyn Ewing Kool-Aid. Ethyn, if you're seeing this, thank you very much for the entertaining fight. I'll continue to support you from here on in, and again, congratulations on your newborn child. Everyone else, if you made it this far, thank you very much for your ongoing support. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you're still here, don't forget to spank the shit out of my anus and the like button. Leave some nice comments down below to try outweigh the Dagestanis telling me that my shit has aged like milk. Other than that, I'll be back next week for a new video. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you all soon. Peace.